So
For the people who don't know about the book, what astronauts did you write? And like, which kind of one do you feel like you related to the most?
that's a great question. I would say the one that so the book starts with John Glenn. So he was the first American to orbit. I think, and it might just be the time that we're in, this crazy pandemic, the era of the pandemic, because, and maybe that's why I resonate so strongly and just had a lot of fun writing that chapter about John Glenn. He was a guy who, he was a man of science. He was a man of engineering. He trusted engineering so much that he, faced the prospect of death at supersonic speed. And yet he was a man of faith too, and that faith was deeper than his trust of science and engineering. And so whenever he was looking at the world, and we talk about this in the book quite a bit, when he's looking at the world, he was always trying to kind of peer through the world, so peer through the physical and see the supernatural sitting behind it. And I felt like, so many men, including me during this time, have been asking, like, where's God in all of this? Where's God in this pandemic? Where is God in this, in relation to this virus that's, just a plague on the earth right now? And this book, I think in a very practical way, gives men the ability to establish a relationship with God where they can ask those kinds of questions and perhaps, expect answers. So that was sort of the one that I had the most fun writing. I'd say the one that I connected with the most was actually Charlie Duke. So it was the last chapter. He was one of the last astronauts. So John Glenn was one of the first. Charlie Duke was one of the last. Charlie Duke was part of the Apollo program, and he wasn't on the last mission, but he was on the second to last mission to the moon. And this is a guy who, a very young age. All these guys were so young. They fly to the moon, they hit the pinnacle of their career, and then they think, what next? And you got your whole life almost ahead of you, and you've kind of, everything's downhill. What are you going to do that's going to be bigger than going to the moon? And so Charlie really struggled and spent a lot of time trying to climb the ladder of success, as he put it. So in business, and so he just went from one ladder to the next ladder, looking for meaning and purpose and joy and peace and security and all the things that we, try to pull from life, or things that are actually life. He was trying to pull it again from business. And it was just a disaster. It was a train wreck in his marriage and his personal life. And he's still alive. He and his wife, Dottie, live down in Texas. And I got to interact with them a little bit, but they're very transparent. Their marriage was at the point of breaking. And Charlie would say it's because of his drive to achieve, and his drive to try to find meaning and purpose and joy and peace and love through achievement. And I really resonated with that. I feel like for 20 years of my life, I was doing something similar, and God turned it all around like he did for me. And so I really resonate. There was a moment where Charlie is in his car with his wife, and he just decides to decide. He just knows that he knows. He just says, I want to give my life to Jesus. And everything changed since then. Like me, the discontent is gone, relationships are restored, and it's just a great testimony. And so that's probably the one that I resonate with the most.